Hi there, so we're going to go ahead to topic 1.13, Bedmass and order of operations. So we'll learn all about how to use order of operations to solve arithmetic expressions. And when I say arithmetic, I mean adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. So we're going to have all four operations today in this lesson. So what is Bedmass? Bedmass is an acronym that where every letter stands for an operation that we need to do or something that we need to focus on. And so it's just a memory tool. So when we talk about operations, we mean the adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. And because we all need to come to the same conclusion when we have a question that requires us to do more than one thing, we need to have some kind of order system so that you and I know what's the first step, what's the second step, what's the third step. So the order really does matter, and that's where Bedmass can help us a lot. So rather than just having Bedmass written down in your book and looking at it, it's always good to make notes for yourself. So if you write things down, it helps you to remember it later. So when we look at operations, if we have brackets or parentheses, that has to happen first. So anything that's inside brackets needs to be done first, and that's called clearing the brackets. Next up, if you see that you have exponents or square roots, because they are hand in hand, those ones need to be done second. So if we have an exponent or we have a square root, those ones need to be done. The D and the M stand for division and multiplication. What's important to note is that division is not higher up in the chain than multiplication. They actually go together. If you have them both, then you have to work left to right. So it's not like you have to do the division first and then the multiplication. If the multiplication is on the left, you do that first, and then you would do the division if it's on the right. So you work left to right, and it's the same with addition and subtraction. They're written as Bedmass as a memory tool, but they're not stronger than, one's not stronger than the other. We work left to right, but we definitely would do a division before we would do an addition, or we do multiplication before addition and subtraction. But if we're left with addition and subtraction, we work left to right. So let's look at an example where we have quite a long question, where we have a number of things going on in this question. And so we're going to use Bedmass to help us to decide the order of doing things. So the first one we're going to do is brackets. So we're going to solve 18 times 3. And 18 times 3 is 54. And of course, it's totally fine to do scratch work on the side. What I do next is I copy everything down exactly the way I see above so that I can clearly see what has to happen next. So what you'll get is kind of a funnel where the numbers will start getting, the rows will get smaller and smaller until we get to our final answer. So now that we've done the brackets, we can go to our next part of Bedmass, which is exponents. Remember, exponents also means square roots. So we can actually do two things now. We can do the square root of 16, which is 4, and we can do 3 squared, which is 9. And again, we copy everything from above, our plus signs, our minus signs, and our numbers so that we're organized. You don't want to make a mistake just because you made a misstep on copying. So now we don't have any division or multiplication. We only have adding and subtracting. So if we're left with adding and subtracting, we must work left to right. So we want to resist the temptation to maybe add up the numbers first. We're going to go ahead and do 16 minus 4 first. 16 minus 4 is 12, and I copy down what I have above. And now all I have left is addition. And so I can add these numbers in any order that I want. For example, I can take 12 plus 9, which is 21, and then add the 54 on to that. And I can do the work on the side. I can do it in my head, and later in other courses you use a calculator. But any way you go about the adding, you're going to have 75 as a result. So order of operations is more work than just, let's say, doing one multiplication question. But I think it's really fun, and the Bedmass will help you to get through each question. So let's do a few more examples together. We'll start small. So we've got 6 times 5 plus 3. We see Bedmass tells us to do the brackets first. So we're going to add 5 plus 3, copy down 6 times. Now all we're left with is multiplication. 6 times 8 is 48. For the next example, we have 6 times 2 plus 1 all squared. So what's in brackets has to be done before we can do anything with that exponent. So we're going to add 2 plus 1 is 3. Now that's going to be squared times 6. Now we can go to the exponents. 3 squared is equal to 9 times 6. And 6 times 9 is 54. Be careful with one like we see here, 2 plus 5 times 3. It's so tempting for us to want to add 2 plus 5, but we can't. Remember, multiplication comes before adding. Division and multiplication come first before adding and subtracting. So we need to multiply 5 times 3, gives us 15. And then we can add on the 2 with a result of 17. For this example, it's very tempting for us to want to multiply 5 times 3 first. Something about our brain that enjoys the multiplication a little bit more than the division, perhaps. What we've got here is both division and multiplication. You have to work left to right. So when we have both, we can't choose, we have to follow the rules. 30 divided by 5 is 6, and then you can multiply 6 times 3 is 18. For our next example, same goes. Do not add your 2 plus 8. What do you have? You have adding and subtracting. When you have those both, you need to work left to right. Subtraction is leftmost. We do that first. 12 minus 2 is 10, plus 8 is 18. So let's go ahead and do the 1.13 do together questions. First up, we see we have 18 minus 4 in brackets plus 20. Bedmass tells us brackets first, so we're going to do the subtraction. 18 minus 4 is 14, plus 20. We add those two together with a result of 34. For number 2, we have 2 sets of brackets, which means we can solve both of the sets of brackets at the same time. So we can go ahead and do 5 times 7, which is 35. Bring down my plus sign, and we can do our second bracket right away. 12 minus 6 is 6. We're left with only one operation, 35 plus 6. So our result is 41. Our third one we've done before. We're going to do it again. It's a good one because it's got everything you need right in one question. We've got brackets first. 18 times 3 is 54. We copy down what we have above. As the questions become more and more complicated, it's the copying that really keeps you on track. Now we have a square root and we have exponents. We can solve both of those at the same time. Square root of 16 is 4. 3 squared is 9, and we bring everything down so that we can clearly see what we have to do now. In this example, we have subtraction and addition. So because we have both of those, we're going to work left to right. Subtracting first, 16 minus 4 is 12, plus 54, plus 9. And now we have the freedom to add in any order that we want. So we can add, for example, 12 plus 54 is 66, and 66 plus 9 is 75. Or as we had done before, 12 plus 9 or 9 plus 54. With our adding, it doesn't matter which order we want to go in. So for exercise 1.13, take your time. The questions start out small, and by the end you're doing longer chains. Use Bedmass to keep you on track to know your order of the operations. Have fun!